I started out as a kid, always fascinated by space. I spent, late 70s, early 80s was kind of the end of the Apollo era, the beginning of first space shuttle missions, and I had lots of models of rockets and all that kind of stuff in my room, so was always fascinated by it. But I guess I first really got interested in it from a career standpoint in graduate school. I went to Rice University for my MBA, and they had this program where you had to work for a real company, did pro bono work for them. And it was the late 1990s, a lot of dot-com sort of projects going on. I thought I was going to get something cool and exciting, and I got assigned to a trucking company. But it turned out to be fortuitous because their problem was trying to figure out how to keep in touch with all of the drivers and track all the assets, all the trailers all across the country. And so they were doing it through a mix of CB radio and cell phones and two-way pagers and looking for some other way to do it. And so the team I was on did some research, and at the time there were some new companies, I'm not even sure they're around anymore, but American Mobile Satellite and Orbcomm that were doing some really innovative things with satellite, and I just got hooked at that point. I thought, this is the industry I want to work in. It's funny, I don't necessarily think of it as mentoring, although I know I've been very fortunate in my career. I've had a number of people that I've learned a tremendous amount from just by working around them, being part of their team, watching what they do. And so I guess I like the idea of being able to pay some of that back, to be a part of a team that's growing and doing things that are innovative and exciting, and having people of all different skill levels in the team. And it's really exciting to watch somebody who owns something for the first time and it's theirs and they get to take it to the next level. And it becomes a stepping stone in their career. So I enjoy being a part of that just because I had that same benefit from quite a few mentors early in my career. I don't know that I ever actually set out to mentor anybody. I think it's just you look for good people that you want to work with that you think are going to have the same kind of passion for whatever the business is or the problem or the team that you're putting together that they're going to solve. So I think that's the first thing to get right, is finding people that share your passion and your desire to be successful and to build something. I think the second thing is to make sure that you don't assume that you have all the answers, and that the people that you're bringing together in the group are going to have different viewpoints, different perspectives, and it's about being open and candid and letting everybody have a voice. And then when the right idea comes up, and it might be somebody relatively junior in the organization, it could be a team of people that come up with an idea, empowering them to go do it. It's theirs. It's their idea. Let them take it and run with it and turn it into reality, rather than saying, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to take credit for your work and now I'm going to go pitch it up the chain, or I'm going to go execute that. Let them own it. Let them make it theirs. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of mentors, particularly in the satellite industry. There was probably really 3 or 4 people, and I think one of the things that I learned is that you don't ever want to try to copy somebody. When you have a mentor, you're not looking to be them. You're looking to take little pieces of each of the different people in your career that you admired and figure out how to take that and mold it and shape it into your own style and your own approach to doing things. So one person that really had a lot of influence on me was one of the prior recipients of this award, Tom Eaton. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's currently at Telesat as Vice President of International Sales. I worked with him at Harris Caprock and at SpaceNet. And what I learned from him was just how to motivate a team to get through really tough challenges, to take something that has a lot of hair on it, a lot of problems, and figure out, okay, how are we going to get excited about solving those problems? Another great mentor in the industry was Peter Schaper, who is the President and CEO of Caprock Communications. And I loved his focus on culture and making sure that you get that right in the organization. That it's all about having a collaborative, collegial environment where people feel safe to share ideas and to bring tough questions to bear. And another one would be Andreas DeGiorio, who was a CEO at SpaceNet. He was with GE Americom for a number of years. Classically trained GE general manager. I learned a lot about how to really run the business, how to make the tough decisions and do the analytical things you need to in order to come to the right conclusion about solving a tough business problem. So like I said, I think for me it wasn't any one person, it was a number of people, and I've been fortunate to work with some really great leaders in the industry. I don't know. I think I did get a really good piece of advice early in my career. I was working at Compaq Computer Corporation at the time, part of HP now, And a boss at the time said, you know, you should write your hypothetical resume. You know, if you want to be a chief financial officer, you want to be the chief medical officer in a hospital, partner in a law firm, whatever it is that you want, write that goal and say, okay, by the time I'm 35 or 40 or whatever your time frame is, I want to be at that level in that kind of role. And then work backwards and say, well, what are all the jobs that I need to have in order to be qualified to be that, to be a CFO, a CEO, a general counsel, whatever it is. And I took that advice very literally, and it's worked for me, which was to kind of say, well, I think I need to do at least a few year tour in sales, really get in front of customers and understand the problems that the customers are trying to solve, because rarely do they really care about your product. They have some business or mission problem they're trying to solve. So that was a great lesson, spending some time doing sales and sales engineering. Then I wanted to learn more about the products and the technology and go and develop some products and bring them to market and understand where the successes are and where the failures are. Sometimes you learn as much from the failures or more from the failures than you do from the successes. I wanted to spend some time in a strategy group to learn how companies make big decisions about where they invest their capital and how they choose which markets to pursue and those sorts of things. So I don't know if that's a recipe for how to get to where you want, but it was great advice that I got from somebody early in my career, and it certainly has helped me. I'm probably a little bit of a geek when it comes to this industry because I do just love satellite communications in the space industry. It started out when I was a kid, as I said earlier, just loving NASA and the Apollo program and the space shuttles. And then when I got into the industry, my very first satellite industry trade show in Washington, D.C. in the late 90s, and I went into that old rundown convention center in downtown DC, and you walk through the doors and there are these huge third-scale model rockets and spacecraft hanging suspended from the ceiling and large antennas and earth stations and all the equipment, and I thought, wow, this is an industry that has cocktail party appeal. People ask you what you do, so I work in the space industry, I work in the satellite communications industry. Yeah, and I think, you know, right now in the satellite industry, it's a really exciting time because there are a lot of new technologies that are really starting to come to bear. You know, it's things like high throughput satellites were all the talk of the trade shows and the trade publications 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, and now they're real. They're on orbit with things like Inmarsat Global Express and Intelsat's Epic, which are bringing many times more throughput from the same spacecraft than you used to get a generation ago. At the same time, there's a lot of new star power in the industry. You've got people like Elon Musk privatizing space vehicle launch with the SpaceX projects. And then at the same time, you have new technologies with low Earth orbit satellites and small sats, which are really taking satellite from being a niche form of communication that you only use when you can't get anything else, which is what it's been for a long time, to now being part of a broader multimodal universe of communications, that you can go to a remote site, and if there's fixed wireless available, it might be using satellite as the backhaul connection. Or maybe you have an Iridium style phone in Iridium Next that's connecting directly to the satellite, but you can take it out of its cassette and you can use it as a Wi-Fi or a fixed cellular device as well. So that's what to me is exciting about it, is that cellular and satellite and all the technologies are coming together to be part of a much broader communication solution for customers.